Since I got into self improvement about 5 years ago, I've been trying to find out what masculinity actually means and how I myself can become more masculine. And if you've had a similar experience to me, you've been raised by a single mother, then you know that there's nobody really there to teach you what being a man actually means. Since I got into self improvement about 5 years ago, I've been trying to find out what masculinity means and how I myself can become more masculine. Now, if you're experiencing anything like mine and you've also been raised by a single mother, or you didn't really have a real father figure if your father was in the home, you know that feeling of being lost as a young man, having no real sense of direction on what being a man entails. Mothers reward us is for expressing feminine traits because it's what they themselves do and therefore considered to be a good thing. So every time you do exhibit a characteristic that's feminine, then you will receive that validation and that behavior will be reinforced. And if you don't have a father figure in the picture, then that will never be counterbalanced with the masculine essence. Personally, I was rewarded for being compassionate, kind, nice, and gentle, and not causing any trouble, which, of course, are important traits, and there's a time and a place to exhibit the feminine characteristics. But it leads to a young man becoming timid in life and a bit of a pushover. Few years of consuming content and trying out different things and living through more experiences, I think I've got a pretty good idea of what masculinity actually entails. The definition of the masculine is freedom. It can be taken to mean many things. It could be freedom from a particular job that doesn't interest you, freedom from a boss that you hate. It could be location freedom, where you're able to conduct your life and your business from anywhere in the world as you please. It could be sexual freedom, where you're able to sleep and ejaculate with one woman or several women of your choosing. Essentially, freedom can be taken to mean the removal of constraints from your life so that you can do what you want when you want to. In order for the masculine entity to achieve that, it needs to be mission oriented. If you do want the freedom from a job, if you want location freedom, if you want sexual freedom, you need to have a goal in place, achieve it, and create a new goal that brings you closer to your ultimate lifestyle. Back to our time in tribes, our mission as men was to obtain food, kill the other tribe, get the resources, get the women, have children, and protect those children. Of course, the setup of civilization has changed a lot from the times of tribes, but I don't believe our biology has changed that much from those days, and not nearly as fast as social norms. I talk about masculine in quite spiritual terms because it's a form of energy. It doesn't refer to a man per se. Both men and women, we have masculine and feminine energy within us to different degrees. A person with lots of masculine energy, then the vast majority of your time is spent thinking and acting on your goals, whether they're in your career, your studies, sports, business. You're always mission driven. You have that in the back of your mind, even if you are having a downtime and you're supposed to be disconnecting. Pretty soon, your mind will be drawn back to the goals that you've set yourself. And the feminine spends its time thinking about love and harmony and seeking fulfillment. It has a desire to be validated, adored, and praised, which is why giving a woman a compliment can be so powerful. And it's why one of the main reasons for breakups and divorces happening is that the woman doesn't feel appreciated by the man. Appreciation and adoration to the feminine is essentially like water to a flower. It's absolutely essential. Think back to the way you've been living life so far and be completely honest with yourself. What proportion of your time has been spent thinking and acting on the goals that you've set in your sports, studies, career, business? And what proportion has been spent thinking about love and affection and wanting a girlfriend or thinking about women and seeking that love from them? And has that carried you away from your goals? First, to admit that, especially during my early teenage years in school, I would spend quite a lot of time fantasizing about girls. Every couple of months, I'd develop a crush on a new girl and have this fantasy of us being together and not really being a man and actually taking action, but just building up this narrative in my head. And while I was goal oriented and I did very well academically, and I also quite enjoyed sports, I do feel like it sapped my time and energy thinking about girls and love and having that scarcity mindset around female affection. So if you can relate to any of this, then I understand that it's hard to move away from that mindset. But if you do seek to be a more masculine man, then it's an essential step that you need to take. I'm not saying that you should be a brick wall and never feel affection and think about your woman or about girls that you might want to be with. But a masculine man, above all else, would prioritize his work, his mission, and frankly, female affection comes second in his life. Past, I'd say 2 years, I've spent the majority of my time in a mission-oriented frame, and honestly, it feels so right and so fulfilling. I've got my career, my fitness regimen. I also do private tutoring as a side hustle, and now this YouTube channel. I like to invest time in learning, reading books, listening to podcasts. And it's just so good having goals and achieving them and then creating new goals and achieving those as well. It's not really a state I ever want to get out of. Make sure to invest time in my relationship. Not from where I want to be in terms of accomplishments and masculinity, but I'm so glad that I've reached this point where I am in tune with a sense of purpose and knocking down goals and pushing my limits. It just feels so right. Simple step for you. I want you to draw a line on a piece of paper, and I want you to label the left-hand side of the line as feminine and the right-hand side as masculine. And I want you to put an X where you want to be on that spectrum. So remember, masculine is being completely focused on your mission, goals, and progress. And the other extreme, the most feminine part of the spectrum, is thinking about love, harmony. I want you to put an X where you genuinely think that you currently are on that spectrum. And be completely honest with yourself. You're not cheating anyone here. If you're like me when I completed this exercise, then you probably want to be more masculine than you currently are. I think that's the case for a lot of guys. What steps could you take to start becoming more masculine if that's what you want? Well, the best way I found is to create goals that actually inspire you. And you want these goals to be sufficiently specific so that you know when you've actually achieved them. You want them to be just challenging enough to make you push yourself and go towards your edge being your boundary of capability, but not crazy enough that there's no prospect of achieving them. I recommend having 3 types of goals. One physical goal, so it could be something like gaining 10 pounds of muscle in the next year. It could be achieving 12% body fat, or running a certain distance in a certain amount of time, lifting a certain weight, or getting a belt in your martial arts. One financial goal, so this could be something to do with your career, like getting a promotion. It could be to do with making your first $500 online, or just starting some sort of business. If you're still studying, then a goal might be to achieve certain grades in an exam. And one social goal, so that might be growing your network, or spending time with 2 friends this week, or going to one social event every couple of weeks. Having one goal for each of these 3 dimensions, but there might be spells of time where you are neglecting one in order to gain the other 2, which is completely fine in the short term. So for example, you might be going through a very deep spell of work and you're neglecting the social aspect of your life. That's fine, but if you're looking for a long-term sustainable strategy, then I think you should be pursuing all 3 at once. And because you're pursuing 3 areas, you don't want to have too many goals within each one. 1, maximum 2, I would say. Start with 1 or 2 for each area and pursue them relentlessly. They should be the number 1 thing you think about when you're in the shower, in a commute, going to bed at night, waking up in the morning. You need to train your mind to be obsessed with a mission. Secondly, don't make women your objective. There's nothing attractive about a man who prioritizes his love life over all else, no matter what society might want you to think and what women might want you to think. We are pushed this agenda that love is the most important thing in the world and you should spend loads of time with your partner and be open. And of course, you should invest time in making them feel appreciated and fulfilled. But I think it's a lot less than what society is prescribing us. And I think men who have subscribed to the narrative have suffered in their love lives and in their relationships. Women want to see a man who is purpose-driven, ambitious, gets up in the morning and gets after it. And having a bit of scarcity, your time being quite scarce to them, is a very powerful attraction tool. Don't subscribe to this whole Sigma mindset of men going their own way and fuck women and love doesn't matter. I think that's stupid because I think feminine energy is incredibly important in our lives. But don't go out of your way to meet and be with women. Try and meet women as you go about your own mission. And you'll be surprised that the more you work on yourself and you level up in the three areas that I talked about before, women will just happen to come up in your way. You won't even have to look for them that hard. And when they do come across in your path, then your value as a man will be so much higher than the person who doesn't invest in himself. And then it's just going to be easy. I'm going to release a video soon about the importance of masculine and feminine energy in relationships and how you can become more masculine, the benefits of being more masculine, and having that polarized dynamic between you and your woman. I recently made a video about rejecting modernity and embracing masculinity, which I recommend you check out after this. If you find this video useful, if you can relate to anything I've said, then I'd love to hear about your story in the comments below. Give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos like this. And if you do want to join a community of men raised without father figures looking to improve themselves, then the links for those will be in the description. I'll see you in the next video, bro.